Project Request for Applications Budget Support Call. My name is Caroline Sedano. I'm the Perinatal Unit Supervisor at the Department of Health supporting this initiative. I will be turning this over to Bonnie and Laura, who will be walking through the budget sheet and going through the budget, any sort of tips and tricks they have for putting the budget together using the budget sheet that we have. You can find the budget sheet Excel template on the Birth Equity website that I'll put in the chat, so folks have access to that if they want to follow along. And you can ask questions using the Q&A function. So feel free to type in any questions there. And this is being recorded and posted on the website. So if you want to go back and review anything that was shared here, you will be able to. We will also be offering additional support through coaching and drop-in office hours that I think Laura can probably do a quick reminder of at the end of this call. If you do have any additional questions or want to talk through putting together your budget throughout the application process. So with that, I'll turn this over to Bonnie.
Hey, thank you. Good evening, everyone. And thanks for joining us. I'm going to assume that everyone can see my screen. And let me do a little quick check-in to make sure that that works for all of you.
I can see your screen, Bonnie. Looks good to me.
I can see it too.
Perfect. Thanks, ladies. So what we're looking at is there's 3 tabs along the bottom: instructions, an example setup, and then your template. The instructions are set up so that if you literally went to section by section, you would have the directions. We kind of went type A on this, really trying to help everyone. The most important part for me is that you've got your sign up genius link here on row 9. And when you click on that, it clicks into the sign up, and we'll have Laura remind people at the end. Anything that's blue means that you can touch it. It's touchable. When it's red, it means you can't use it and that it's auto-populated with calculation. And I'll walk through that in a minute, so it really makes some sense for you. So over half of our spreadsheet is auto-populated. So those of you that don't like formulas and math, you don't have to worry about it because we built it in for you. One of the areas that we are asking for is to please use a computer that uses Microsoft Outlook with Excel. This is not a template set up for Google Sheets. It won't work. So none of those auto formulas will work, and it'll break your really good planning and won't work right. So please just stick with us on using Microsoft Excel. On the example sheet, everything in yellow is auto-populated, and I'm going to go all the way up to the top here. So just starting at the top, we're asking you to enter your organization name and a program name if that's relevant. And then when you scroll down, you're going to see kind of a little tiny anchor there. And one of our team members put in kind of coaching tips for you. So each anchor has its own, make sure you do it this way. And so there's little tips and tricks in there. What we're thinking for salaries is we don't know your structure. And so we just threw examples in. Hang on one sec. We threw examples in, and the in the blue where it says program manager or IT support or writer, you can overwrite that. We expect you to put your own titles in for each position that you're wanting to fund. In addition, then, this is based on a full-time employment agreement. And so we're asking for you, if it's one FTE, it would just be the one. If it's 4 FTEs, because you have a whole bunch of people in that, you're going to put a 4. If it's a quarter FTE, someone that works really part-time, you're going to do a 0.25. So hopefully that's not confusing. When you do that, then you're also putting in what you pay them. That's on a salary with no benefits, just their pay. From there, it auto-populates everything for all 3 of our budget years, and it'll give us a subtotal and a final total. So the finals, not to confuse everybody, but they're at the very bottom of the sheet. They get tallied down here. And what's really nice is we can see what you're submitting for each year. I've been advised that the range for each year will range from like 75K to about 200K. So just be aware of that for your overall budget. On salaries, let me see if there's any other tricks. I don't think so. When you drop down to payroll and taxes and benefits, every agency does some things different except for Social Security. That's why it's in yellow, because it's fixed for everybody. You can't change it. And we're forecasting right now the 8.70 for all 3 years. The second one is a little complicated because in Washington State, it depends how many employees you have, what your company is actually paying for unemployment. If you get confused at all, you may have to end up calling like labor and industry, or talking with your CFO or an accountant or a CPA. But we're really not the advisors for that. But just a heads up, most of you will be at the 0.70%. The rest of this is for you to submit, but only if you're providing it to all employees. Make sure that you're being equitable, fair to everybody. You wouldn't list life insurance for only those who are in this program. We're hoping that if you're already providing these benefits to your employees, that the people funded by this project would also receive the same support as everyone else in your organization. But it's not meant to be extra or in addition to. Again, there's some little tip and tricks in here, so you can kind of hover over these little corners and just be reminded in case you forget. And then if we forgot something, or maybe you have a different benefit that you want to list that your company does, then you can, again, just override that and explain, name it, call it out, and then put it in the budget. And again, our assumption is everyone in your company is receiving that benefit. The direct expenses, these are, this one's exciting. So subcontractor, this can be for, let's say you want to team up with a local health department or an expert in an area to really strengthen your proposal. We hope you'll collaborate. That's sort of something that Department of Health team really wants to make sure you know. This is where you would put that information for subcontracting. In addition, and then you're listing the month average. These are other direct expenses that we feel you should consider. And the hard one, there's one hard one, and that's office space. So if office space is new and dedicated only for your program, then it's a direct expense. But if office space is split up among everybody and it's you get a portion of the office space for your program, which we think most will fall in, then your office space is going to be down here under indirect. So just be aware that that kind of divide is there. We tried to make it really clear with new versus existing, that type of thing. So business insurance, not for personnel, but new for a dedicated need. Like if this is a new initiative you're doing and you're having to purchase additional business insurance, that would be where you'd put this line item, would be for direct expenses on row 50 with business insurance. And then you'd put your amount, most likely they're going to give you a bid for the year and you'll have to divide it out for a monthly expense. So all of this is monthly, and just please make sure to do the average for the month. If you are having to purchase video conference access, Teams or Zoom or whatever, that's another one that probably a few years ago, none of us even thought about. So you'd list how many you're having to purchase and what the monthly cost is. May have per diem, you may have special equipment that you're having to do. And then the flexible other. So again, be as descriptive as you can so that our readers and our reviewers can understand clearly, oh, this is what it's for. And then the indirect, we've kind of hinted at what indirect is, but it's expenses that are already supporting your org and not really tied to the program directly, that are outside of what would normally be covered. So we've listed a few. There aren't really that many, but phone reimbursement could be one, supplies, office space, utilities, project insurance, not for the individuals. Oh, I see a typo. Yipes, sorry. No matter how much we look at this, darn it. All right. And then under indirect rates, this one's really fun and it's kind of tricky. Our code person did a great job at this. So this is if you've been approved. So for direct, there's 2 steps you would need to do. One is your organization may already have a indirect rate approved by DOH that's already on file. And if that's the case, you would just click the first one. But if you don't, and you're submitting a request, then you're going to be doing the second one. And the third one is we've chosen to opt out of any indirect. So that's important. And you can see when you change the rates that it goes from the 19.4 to the 10 to the 0. On the goods and services, we've listed this a little bit as kind of a catch-all. But if your organization may have other federal grants and you're used to goods and services, then this may be helpful for you, but it's not a requirement. So if it's more of a catch-all and just flexible for you. And same with other, we've listed a few other slots in case you need them. What happens then is above, each of these will roll in and you'll be able to see very quickly what you're applying for. The most interesting one, I think, for the reviewers will be for you to enter details about the program here. And really what they're going to be looking for is, how does all of this impact families, and does at least 60% of this budget get assigned or is committed to the families? So that's part of the goal for this whole project. So just a brief explanation. Doesn't need to be volumes because they have a lot they're going to have to read. And so this is your template. And remember that you'll just be coming in and you'll be filling out the blue. When you save your budget, my recommendation would be to put your organization name in the title for the saving. And I think that's all they need. So for that, I think I'm opening it up, I guess, to questions.
Thanks so much, Bonnie. I think the way we have this set up, folks can't come off mute, I don't think. So if you have a question, use the Q&A option here and we'll try to answer them. I see one question that Suzanne asked, which was clarification around the family services. So she asks, we have a requirement that 60% of the budget should serve families. And so she asked, besides the 10% indirect, what other cost categories would be considered as not serving families? So I'm going to make sure I answer that correctly by consulting with our fiscal team to make sure we have the right categories for that. The answer will be uploaded to a FAQ document that will be on our website, hopefully by Friday of this week. Okay, I see another question from Hannah asks, if we do not have an indirect rate approved with DOH, how do we go about doing that? Do we need this prior to completing the budget and submitting this? Bonnie, can you go to the, I think there is like a the section here around the indirect rate.
Inside the budget template?
Yeah, I think there was like wasn't there a checkbox?
Yeah. It's 1904 and it does it automatically. Right here, 19.4.
Okay.
Or
Great.
this
Okay,
one,
so if you
and
don't
10.
already have one approved, let me, I think I need to make sure we have a form that you can request that, but I think this is what the standard rate is, but I'll get that form and include it on the FAQ document.
So the Caroline's right. So the 19.4 is for people who've already have it approved through the department, and then this one for 10% is the one that you'd be eligible for by filling out the form. So, but the 19.4, my understanding is that that's a pre-approval, and this one can be approved during the second one with the 10% can be approved now during the process. Hopefully that makes sense. Great questions.
Hannah says, thank you. Thanks, Hannah, for the question. Okay, I see another question here. Will a budget narrative also be required, or will we essentially use the description section at the end for budget justification? So all that's required is to fill out that budget. I think it's called narrative is the term on the Excel sheet. There's no addition.
One place. Other good questions? Let's see. I don't think, yeah, I haven't seen any new ones come in. Have you, Caroline?
No, I haven't seen any new questions come in. Thanks. Oh, actually, got another one just in. Okay. No silly questions, but the template tab looks password protected. Okay, so the first two are locked. I think the template should not be locked.
Yeah, and it actually looks like it got locked. I'm not sure how that happened.
Oh, okay. I will double check the one that's on the website and make sure that that one is not locked.
And you get extra credit. That was awesome to find that, so thank you. What happens is it is a password protected template in that we aren't wanting you to go in and change anything in the yellow. So this yellow section, it does have a password protect, but I believe you're able to come in and change the blue. So Caroline, that's what we'll need to test.
Okay, I see Hannah put a comment that the one on the website is not locked and working just fine. If anyone is having an issue with being able to type, let me know. I think not every cell is typable, so that might be part of
That's
it,
the
where
blue.
some of the cells in the template tab are locked. But I think, is it, Bonnie, is it just the yellow ones that you can type?
Yeah, the yellow is password protected, and so it'll probably show up as a lock, but the blue is, as you can see, I'm typing over them right now, and it's easy to do that. So should be fine. And this is a template that I downloaded from your site, so
Okay.
I'm pretty confident.
But if anyone's having any issues, I'm adding my email into the chat. Just send me an email and we can try to problem solve that.
And then I think, like, when we do our individual coaching sessions and so forth, if you get into areas where you're like, I'm not sure what I'm doing, am I doing this right? Then that's what those sessions are for. And so just jump in and talk to a member of my team, and they'll either help you or they'll connect you with me, and we'll set up a separate time to resolve it with you. So we want you comfortable with it, and we want you confident in your numbers that you're submitting.
Thanks, Bonnie. Laura, I'm wondering, could you do a quick just reminder about how to schedule those support sessions and put it maybe in the chat, the link that people need?
Absolutely, glad to do that. I'm going to go ahead and drop this in this link here in the chat. And then if I could, I will share my screen, and just to give everyone an idea of what it looks like and how you might consider signing up for it. So I'm going to share my screen here. I assume you're all able to see that now.
Looks great.
Perfect. So when you go to that to the link that I dropped in the chat, you'll see this, and this allows you to sign up for the coaching times that are available. And as I mentioned on the call yesterday, if none of these times work for you, please email me. We're happy to arrange a time that is workable, even though it's not listed here. So just keep that in the back of your mind. I'm also available for any questions that you might have, where maybe it's just a quick question and you don't want a coaching session. Feel free to take advantage of that as well. So this is the Sign Up Genius, and all you'll do is click sign up. It'll ask for your name and your email address. Once you provide that, it will automatically send you a confirmation with the link to the session, and it will confirm the time with you. Also, if for some reason you misplaced that email, you can always go back to Sign Up Genius, and the link is the same for all of the sessions that we will be hosting. Just to point out, there are a few different options here. You can have a one-on-one coaching session. These are each a half an hour, and this is a good opportunity to work through any maybe organizational specifics, questions that you may have. And then we also have office hours, and these are open to anybody. Think of it as a drop-in time. However, if no one comes by 15 minutes after the start time, we will be closing out that session. So just be aware of that and try to come at the start of this session if you're able. And again, if none of those times work or it's just not convenient for you, please do reach out, because we're here to help support you and want you to be successful in your grant application. So is that what you were hoping for, Caroline?
Yep, that was great. Thanks, Laura. I don't see any other budget specific questions, so I think we can go ahead and wrap up this call. I will stay on the line in case for maybe another 5 minutes or so. So feel free to pop in any questions or sign up if you feel like you had all your questions answered. Thank you all so much for joining, and yeah, feel free to sign up for more support if you need it.
Great. Thanks, Caroline. So we'll have the